The ML Sports Platter is back with you all over the major platforms. Download, subscribe, rate, and review as we are brought to you by Brewerton Ace Hardware, Rosie's Corner, and Stanley Law Offices. Stanley Law Offices together, they'll work to get you the maximum reward. I brought on a guy I've known for quite a while, actually, going back to our grade school days. He, the hoop star, me not. Still love the sport, of course. Got into some other things and some sports, did a ton of music as well. We went to high school together. We're classmates. It's my man, Nick Redhead, former Central Square hoop star, as I call him on here. You do not have to send me a check for that in the mail. Nick, welcome, buddy. It's great to talk with you again, man.
What's happening, man? It's great to see you, and appreciate the hoop star shout out there.
That's right. That's
I
right.
don't know if I go that far, but
well, you were a great player, and I got cut a bunch up until, and I said, all right, I'm done, and I had the music thing going on, and then I played for fun and kind of a side and intramural, and I did some tennis and some volleyball, and just played it recreationally. But I did get into the games. We had the pep band rolling, right? And that was a long time ago, man. That was 25 plus.
If memory serves me correct, you had a mean jumper though.
Yeah, I tried to do the whole up and under move. When you're scrawny and weak and you try your best at things that, you just you got to do what you can do. I never called fouls unnecessarily to get, to the free throw line to get extra cheap points. But, I don't know. It's just wasn't meant to be, it wasn't meant to be.
And you wore number 23. So
I did.
Do remember that. I mean, so Jordan-esque out there.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
That's it, man.
That's about all I had going for me. Although I guess the biggest similarity that you and I and everybody else, we all were in our backyard practicing, shots like Jordan and wearing the Jordans in that 90s era was so special, man, alive. Basketball was great back then. So
it was a lot of fun.
So I'm bringing you on first and foremost, obviously, because I saw your video on social media, right on Facebook, and it's, the 10 years since your brother's suicide. And you came on and it was extremely impactful, and it was emotional, and you want to kind of get out there and raising, trying to help people, the mental health aspect. And I have mental health advocate here because that's exactly the project that you're working on. So I kind of wanted to give you the floor to intro this. And, I know it's important. I know it's close to your heart. And I know that it's such a huge loss. You and your brother were so tight. But the reason why I'm having you on is because it's a reaction to your video and how it affected me when I watched it, Nick.
Yeah, again, appreciate you having me. As I mentioned in the video, it's been 10 years, and what you see here on my hat, and I have some bracelets and this whole thing this thing's been like festering inside of me to figure out what to do, how to make a difference. And so I guess I'll give you the quick backdrop on it is, so my brother passed, committed suicide. He and I were close. We talked nearly every single day, multiple times a day. And I was completely oblivious to it and had no clue. And I can't even put into words what that's like. When you're there for one another, it's just so, if that's the case, and I feel like I'm a pretty good read of people and what's going on, and with that being the case and just being completely blindsided with it. So it obviously hit home. I mean, and I can get bottled up, talking about that side of it, but, it's so deep, the topic about suicide, like even just to say it, like when you opened up and said, because of your brother committing suicide, it's almost like there's such a negative connotation surrounding it that folks don't want to be associated with it. It's like, if I was to say that, my suicidal, it's like, it's on all the questions at the doctor, for crying out loud. It's like, well, what are they going to do to me? Are they going to box me up and send me away? And it's like, so I've got a problem. I've got a problem with it. I've got a problem with the way that it's within society. Nobody wants to talk about it. And so, like I said, man, it's bottled me up for this long. And I came up with this logo 4 years ago, and I've just been sitting on it, festering and looking at it. And I'm like, and finally, it wasn't until the video, when I sent it out, that 10 years, that kind of gave it life, if you will. And it was no more than me asking for support, or asking for some feedback on what people feel and what they think. So to realize the responses that came through, and there were people that have reached out to me from that video. I've never even met them before. And when they're bringing to me something that they're going through, it's not, listen, so like, it's so deep. Like there's what this is and what this means. And then there's the whole next component to this that is, to me, I talk about this quite frequently with folks, that it's like this ever-changing Rubik's Cube. Because just because, and I could hit on several different topics that are surrounding it. So like, there's the misconception out there, I feel like, is like people are like, oh, it's a disease. Like, I couldn't disagree more with that, quite frankly. I don't think it's a disease at all. And again, I'll probably get going down that tangent. So I guess I probably need to back up to tell you. So what this is, and how this has come about, where you and I are talking right now, is I was sitting in my house and was drinking, and after having gone through this, by the way, I remember drinking for like 3 years, to try to think, oh, I'd be able to get through, like, and so it's like, not the fix, by the way. So it's like, that's not the fix. But I'm in my house and I'm sitting there hanging out and looking up at my mantle, and I'm looking at this R that was on the wall, and I had this flamingo that was on a mantle, and just got kind of looking and thinking, and where this evolves was, the R stems from our last name, Redhead. And I started, I'm like, how could I use this story to create awareness, to make an impact? So the R being symbolism to give Rodney, which is my other brother's name, to give him, life, if you will, to honor him. And the flamingo was, for some strange reason, I just fell in love with flamingos. And as I'm sitting there, I'm thinking to myself, like, okay, well, flamingos are typically pink. So my brain's going, and I'm like, well, everybody symbolizes, a flamingo with being pink. But I'm like, I've seen them, like, you see them really red in some instances, but but it got me thinking, like, that's the uniqueness of it, of what their diet is, and so on and so forth. But so I'm like, red flamingo. I'm like, that's it. Like, so it hit me. And so the concept behind the name of what I'm trying to kind of do here is, red flamingo honors my brother in terms of, the last name. The flamingo being red in terms of that everyone is unique in their own way. And then I kept going back and forth regarding, like, a tagline. And the tagline that I came up with for it is, what's next? So red flamingo, what's next? And the reason I came up with what's next is because when you're in that state, and I can speak to being in depression, running in my family, of course. And so I can speak to that. I've been in some bad states. And if you get to a phase or a state of mind where you can't see what's next, that's the, like, oxymoron. That's exactly what it is, though. They can't figure out what's next, but what's next, sometimes it's just one more step. It's just whatever it is to keep just a little bit further, like right, a little bit further, and then to be aware, because, like, I think back to my brother's situation, like, if things were different, or if I knew about it, what kind of influence could I have had to help him make that one more step, or what have you. So that's, soup to nuts, kind of like, in a small roundabout way, how that has evolved and where it got to. for that, with where it is now. So where I'm at now with it is simply trying to, spread awareness. Like I said, the people that have reached out to me was very impactful. And so here we are today.
Well, it's a brave thing to do. And, you know a lot of people. I know a lot of people. Some of those people are the same people from high school.
Right.
But I think we're going to be able to get this out. And I think we're going to be able to get a lot of people to, it's going to spread like wildfire. Social media, the good part about it is that it can promote great things quickly. And so something you said was really interesting there about, the suicide part and mental health and all that, and how it is how people think they understand it. There's a branch that kind of goes a little bit further where, when you hear, well, they're suicidal or they're this, and some people will come back and go, well, they'll figure it out. There's that part, or they have problems, like where you said the whole push away thing, like, well, no, man, no.
Right.
We need to get people into the right spots, whether they're a former football player, whether they have a life issue, whether there's something else that has created this. So I'm wondering where you sit with the outreach part, the what's next part, going that extra step, that extra level. Have you thought about how far we can go with it, and how far the outreach can go? Because that, to me, there is no ceiling, right? Because there's always help and help and help and help, right? So every dot, you're talking about what's next. I'm talking like what's next, right? Because this thing can keep going, because there's always going to be that help. Like there's no ceiling to this, right? We got to keep going and helping as far as possible. Have you thought about that part, the challenge there, and the people that, we can get to kind of join the train here?
I mean, 100% have I thought about that. And that's what the drive is surrounding. There's no end in sight. Like there won't be. I mean, I was thinking about this earlier today, regarding, I knew we would hit this type of point in the conversation. And it's like, I mean, it's like drinking and driving. I mean, it's like a scenario of alcohol. I mean, it's the reality of it. It's like there's like people are going to drink. Like that's going to happen. Like it's sad, but that's what's going to happen. And this is the same kind of thing. Like it's going to happen. Like that's the reality that I've come to. Like I've had to realize that. Like it's going to happen, but what type of awareness and what can be done to potentially help to stay ahead of it, and it's funny. I mean, I would like to think I'm a big thinker, in an idealist, but the reality of it is, it's like, okay, well, I want to impact everybody.
Yeah,
I want to, like on the back of the wristband says, it says, Red Flamingo's mission is to stop suicide. It's not so to create awareness, sure, like that's part of it. It's chipping away at the ice sculpture, if you will, of the complexity of the situation. So, but it's to stop it. Right. So until you can stop it, then the work's never done. So you got to keep going for that.
So you didn't know, and a lot of people don't know. I had a friend years ago who I was in a professional relationship with, and kind of knew that there were some demons and this and that, but never. He was also a gregarious guy, and it was fun and this and that. And then his best friend called me, and I was in Albany at the time, and he said, "Are you sitting down?" And I said, "I am, John. It's Ben, isn't it?" And he said, "Yeah." Ben took his own life. And they were best friends, went to RPI together. They did web work for me. We went out for hibachi, went out for lunches. He was one of the most creative, smart people. We busted chops together, right? And I didn't know. I just kind of had a little bit of idea through John, and that maybe, he was battling some things, but never knew that at the end he would do this.
Sure.
So if your brother were here today and the same situation happened, or if you met someone with a similar situation, how would you approach it? You know, like knowing what you know, maybe from another experience, or because you're
So,
older now too. I mean, you're 40, we're 44 now, not 34,
right.
right?
So here's the thing. And so I can take you through my journey that is part of, I believe so, and why I refer to the Rubik's Cube is because it's like ever changing. It's like an ever changing Rubik's cube that you can't like totally fix, like or you can't always get it right because as we age and as we're evolving and things are changing, it's like we're not who we were 10 years ago, physically, mentally, emotionally, the whole nine. And
Right.
so as we go through life, that change of circumstances is always taking place. But it's being cognizant of the factors and the variables that are impacting things that would put somebody into said space. So it could be, and that's the thing, like, so how to approach it. I mean, this is where it gets to me deep, um complex, but also pretty simple to some degree, because there's, to me, this is why I don't think that it's what I said earlier. People think it's like hereditary, or people think like it's a disease.
Disease,
Like
yeah.
I think that people go through things like you go through stressors, you go through PTSD.
Mhm.
Suicide's the highest it's ever been. In military.
Right.
Like how, why, like how's that? So there's something to that. So PTSD, hormone levels. Your hormone levels are jacked up. You don't have any energy. If you're used to operating at a certain threshold, but you're operating at a different threshold, it's like you're trying to figure that out. So that's been a 10-year journey, 15-year journey for me personally. Um, whether you're talking about finances, whether you're talking about relationships, whether you're talking about, I mean, just whether you're talking about anxiety, whether you're talking about depression, you talk about medications, what medications people are taking. Talk about food and diet. Something I jumped on a few years ago was called Eat Right for Your Blood Type, that thank God a friend recommended. So whatever blood type you are, you can check out blood type and then look up blood type diet, and it gives you foods, so on and so. I mean, it's just, and it starts with your gut. So like, your gut health. And so there's all these variables that go into the Rubik's cube to figure out, except for, but so that's what I'm saying. Like, that's why I get so frustrated of hearing people say, no, like it's just, it's a disease my ass. It's like, because I personally reverse engineered things, and it's like, and I haven't felt better than that now in my entire life, but it's taken me 12 or 15 years to get there. So I've been fortunate to have some of the right guidance and follow some of the tools. Like, so could that Rubik's cube be condensed in terms of time frame for other people to then do its thing, like that? I mean, like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's treatments out there. There's ketamine treatments out there that you can get. You know, um, I've had that. So it's like, that can help you rewire stress factors. So it's like, why isn't, so if that's a cure, and that's on a TED Talks, for crying out loud.
Sure.
Thank God. Go to TED Talks and review, and look that up. That's great. So like, as I'm saying, it's like I just listed off 10, 12, 14 things. So when you put that into somebody's life, and then or they tell you they're suicidal, it's like, well, holy shit, man. Like, what is it? Like, is it one of those things? Is it three of them? Is it 12 of them?
Yeah.
So that's what I mean by, that whole Rubik's Cube of things. So, I that's a start for me, heck of a lot better than just saying like, oh, sorry, too bad, so sad. Hey, let me know if you need to talk. Like, yeah, that's a part of it, but I'm so passionate in that I know from personal experience, both on the flip side of what happened to my brother to this and how it can impact. It's like there's things that are out there that we could be, helping people with. I joined a couple of suicide awareness or suicide awareness groups on Facebook. And I'm recently, and I've been scrolling through and trolling through and kind of reading some of this, and it's so sad, man.
Yeah.
It's so sad of how people are talking, what they're saying, the way they're coming about. Just, I mean, it's just like, hey, like they're going on Facebook and they're like, yeah, I just can't get out of the payment. Like I just want out. I just want out. And I'm like, and it's just like, and everybody's like, it's just the response. I'm just like, well, there's a fix though. Like I think there's several things that could be being done. And so that's my point. So that again, I can come full circle to say that's where this is coming into play. That's where the awareness or whatever the case is of like it's going to come into play. Like, and I don't know what the fix is for somebody. Maybe it's a cost that they need to get to, to get a ketamine treatment. Don't know. Maybe it's, maybe they got to go get their hormone levels checked and they don't even know about it. They need to change their diet and start doing something different. So like, I just know that when somebody's posting what they're posting, or I know what happened to my brother, and all of a sudden, like seeing the tidal wave of impact that it's created and what it does to people, like could it be prevented? And I'm of the belief system that it can be. Say most of the time. I don't know. Again, because I know the levels of depression or significance that people feel like they need to reach to get there are different. So I sure as hell don't have all the answers, but I know that it's not being talked about enough, and other people are scared as hell about it. And I don't give a shit. I mean, I'm sorry to curse, but I'm not supposed to be cursed on here. I just don't care. Like I don't. Enough is enough, and it's time for somebody to talk about it. It's time for somebody to own it. It's time for there to be a fix, and just people just need to understand it a little bit better and know it.
Yeah, well, I mean that's a huge part of it, and like I said, what you're doing is certainly brave, and I'm going to have you on, in the coming months, and just keep returning so we can keep getting this message out there. And when things get more solidified on a platform and everything like that, and websites and social and whatever else, and anytime you can shoot me a text or a message or whatever, and I'm going to share it out there as well, and try to get this out there as much as humanly possible. In the minute or two that I have left, if you closed your eyes and thought about Redmond basketball, what's the first moment or memory that comes to your mind besides dunking on Keith Green or Randy?
Oh man, I'm just so grateful.
Can I keep going?
No, man, I am so grateful for that program. I'm so grateful to have had the opportunity to play. Basketball for me we had a rough go. We moved around, a bunch. And that was my oasis. And that gave me the ability to have a safe space and a place that I was fortunately enough, to be able to, be good enough to put the ball in the basket, that it afforded me, higher educational opportunities and obviously, lifelong friends and relationships that, that's what matters. So, that's what comes to me. So.
Notice I didn't say dunking on Garrison Knapp or Tim Esposito. I mean, the Brewerton guys, I got to protect them a little bit more than the other guys,
I noticed that. I noticed it. And there was no me dunking on anybody. Maybe some 3-pointers here and there and scoring on them. But
you like to chuck them. You like to chuck them, right?
Yeah. I think if memory serves me correct, I might have had my senior year. I think I might have been first in our section for points.
Ooh.
Points that year. Ooh. I think it was in the neighborhood of 22.5 a game my senior year, but don't hold me to that.
I got a homework assignment. Look at that. The non-star, the sports media. See, this is the way I look at it. You played varsity basketball, you did your thing, you shoot 22 points a game, this and that. I couldn't live up to that. So now I'm just covering the game, taking selfies with Magic Johnson. All right. I mean, what do you want me to do? I mean, come on. What
Magic. Hey, that'll work, man. That'll work.
Yeah. Well, look, all kidding aside, this was important for me to do. I'll have you back. Let's keep grinding on this subject. And, you can reach out to me anytime. I'm going to try to push some stuff out. After we talked on the phone, I got some behind the curtains thing. I'm trying to reach out to some big name people, and we'll keep it rolling, my friend. It was great to talk with you. Nick Redhead.
Awesome,
thanks so much, buddy.
Enjoyed it. Thanks, man.